Want to build up some cash? If this is the case, you should simply continue to acquire a wide variety of assets that provide income. While it may appear that this piece of advice is straightforward, the challenge lies in determining the types of assets that can provide money for oneself. When it comes to constructing an investment portfolio, the majority of investors rarely move beyond buying stocks and bonds, but I don't hold it against them. There's a lot of interest in these two asset classes, and they are excellent candidates for the accumulation of wealth. On the other hand, stocks and bonds are only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to investments. If you are truly committed to increasing your money, you should give careful consideration to everything that the world of investing has to offer. To this end, I have compiled a list of the 9 best income-producing assets that you can use to grow your wealth. Note that this list isn't a recommendation, but a starting point for further research. Because I don't know your current circumstances, I can't say which, if any, of the following assets would be a good fit for you. Personally, I only own 4 of the 9 asset classes listed below because some of them don't make sense for me, at least at this point in time. I advise that you evaluate each asset class fully before adding/removing anything from your portfolio. With that being said, let's begin with the granddaddy of them all. 1. Stocks/equities. The stock market would be my first choice if I had to choose just one asset class to dominate the rest of the market. This is one of the most reliable ways to build wealth over the course of a lengthy period of time, which is why stocks, which are a representation of the equity, also known as ownership, in a company, are so beneficial. Whether you choose to read Wealth, War and Wisdom, Triumph of the Optimists, 101 Years of Global Investment Returns, or Stocks to the Long Run, you will come away with the same message. Stocks are an excellent investment. On top of that, I'm not only referring to stocks in the United States. As I had mentioned in the past, the record of history demonstrates that equities all over the world have been able to produce consistent long-term returns, 3 to 6% higher than bills. Of course, consider the possibility that the 20th century was a fluke and that the returns on equities in the future are doomed to fail. Yes, but I wouldn't put any money on that happening. First and foremost, stocks are an excellent investment since they do not require any continuing upkeep on your behalf. Despite the fact that you are the owner of the company and get the benefits of it, the management is responsible for running the company on your behalf. 2. Bonds. Following our discussion of the turbulent world of stocks, let us now move on to the much more tranquil realm of bonds. Bonds are nothing more than loans that are given by an investor to a borrower with the intention of being repaid over a specific amount of time, also known as the term, tenor, or maturity. A great number of bonds require the investor to receive monthly payments, also known as coupons, over the duration of the loan. These payments are made prior to the whole principal sum being repaid at the conclusion of the term. This is the location on the internet where you can find the interest rates that are paid on U.S. Treasury bonds for each of these phrases. Furthermore, if you are looking for assistance in determining if you should hold short-term, medium-term, or long-term Treasury bonds, I have compiled this advice for you specifically. You are able to purchase bonds issued by foreign governments, corporate bonds, which are loans to corporations, and municipal bonds, which are loans to local and state governments, in addition to bonds issued by the United States Treasury. Although the interest rates on these types of bonds are typically higher than those on U.S. Treasury bonds, they also tend to carry a higher level of risk. What makes them more risky than bonds issued by the United States Treasury? Due to the fact that the United States Treasury is the most creditworthy borrower any place in the world. Considering that the United States government has the ability to print any dollars that they owe at any time, it is nearly certain that anyone who lends money to them will get their money back. It is not always the case that this is the case, whether it comes to enterprises, municipal governments, or governments from international countries. 3. Investment/vacation properties. An investment or vacation property is one of the most common assets that generates income, and it is one of the assets that comes in second place after equities and bonds. Being the owner of an investment property may be a wonderful experience since it not only gives you a place to unwind, but it also has the potential to bring in additional cash through rental income. You will be able to enjoy the long-term price appreciation on the property while other people, in the form of tenants, will assist you in paying down the mortgage if you manage the property in the appropriate manner. Additionally, if you were able to borrow money in order to purchase the home, your return will be somewhat larger due to the additional leverage that you will have experienced. If it seems like something that is too wonderful to be true, then you are correct. The ownership of a vacation rental property comes with a number of benefits. Nevertheless, it also demands a great deal more effort than the majority of other assets that can be set and forget. Owning a vacation or investment home needs a wide range of skills, including the capacity to interact with people, hire tenants, list the property, and offer continuous upkeep, among other things. While you are dealing with all of this, you also have to deal with the additional stress of having another debt on your balance sheet. Owning an investment property may be a lovely experience when everything goes according to plan, particularly if you have borrowed the majority of the money to finance the purchase of the home. On the other hand, when things go wrong, similar to what happened in the year 2020, they might go extremely wrong. During the course of this year, a number of Airbnb business owners discovered that vacation rentals are not always convenient. Despite the fact that the returns on investment properties might be far larger than those on stocks or bonds, the amount of effort required to acquire these profits is significantly higher. If you are someone who enjoys the tangible nature of real estate and desires to have a greater degree of control over their assets, then you might think about including an investment or vacation home as part of your portfolio. 4. Real estate investment trusts, REITs. If the notion of owning real estate appeals to you, but you despise the thought of being responsible for its management, then the Real Estate Investment Trust, REIT, can be the perfect solution for you. Real estate investment trusts, REITs, are businesses that hold and manage real estate properties and distribute the profits generated by those properties to the investors of the REITs. Real estate investment trusts, REITs, are legally obligated to distribute a minimum of 90% of their taxable income to their shareholders in the form of dividends. With this condition, real estate investment trusts, REITs, are among the most dependable securities on the market that generate income. On the other hand, not every REIT would be the same. Real estate investment trusts, REITs, can be classified into two categories: residential REITs, which can own apartment buildings, student housing, prefabricated homes, and single-family homes, and commercial REITs, which can hold office buildings, warehouses, retail spaces, and other commercial businesses. 5. Farmland. Outside of the realm of real estate, farmland is yet another excellent asset that generates income and has been a significant source of wealth throughout the course of history. The low correlation that farmland has with stocks and bonds is now one of the most compelling arguments in favor of investing in farmland. This is due to the fact that farm income is typically uncorrelated with what is occurring in financial markets. In addition, farmland can provide protection against inflation, while also having a lower volatility than stocks. The asymmetric risk profile of farmland makes it highly improbable that it will go to zero, in contrast to the situation with individual stocks and bonds. Naturally, this may be subject to change in the future as a result of the consequences of climate change. Crowdsourced solutions, such as Farm Together and Farm Funder, have the disadvantage of being restricted to accredited investors, which are defined as individuals who have a net worth of more than $1 million or an annual income of more than $200,000 over the past 3 years. It is also possible that the fees associated with these crowdsourced platforms are somewhat greater than those associated with other public investments. In contrast, Farm Funder designs transactions to either own 15% of the stock or apply a management cost ranging from 0.75% to 1%, in addition to a sponsor fee of 3%. Farm Together, for instance, imposes a fee of 1% on all initial investments, in addition to an ongoing management fee of 1%. Considering the amount of effort that goes into negotiating these arrangements, I do not believe that these fees are predatory. But if you are someone who is opposed to the concept of fees, this is something that you should bear in mind. 6. Small businesses, franchise/angel investing. If farming is not something that interests you, you might want to think about becoming the owner of a small business or a portion of a small firm. The concept of angel investment and investing in tiny businesses comes into play at this point. Be that as it may, prior to embarking on this adventure, you will need to make a decision regarding whether you will be operating the business or simply providing investment funds and skills, as well as the operator. If you want to be the owner and operator of a small business or franchise, you should keep in mind that although you may believe that it will require a certain amount of effort, it will most likely require much more. 7. CDs/money market funds. Money market funds and CDs are low-risk investments that can generate a consistent income. CDs are bank and credit union time deposits, You commit to leave your money with the financial institution for 6 months, 1 year, or 5 years when you buy a CD. The set interest rate is usually higher than a savings account. The CD returns your initial investment plus interest at maturity. Mutual funds that invest in short-term debt securities like government bonds and commercial paper are called money market funds. The steady value of $1 per share makes these funds appealing to low-risk, short-term investors. Money market funds offer easier access to money than CDs or other fixed-income products. Money market funds provide lower yields than CDs, but better yields than savings accounts. Finally, money market funds are not FDIC insured, unlike CDs and money market accounts, which are. Money market funds are not insured like CDs or accounts because they are investments.